Hey everyone who is currently waiting for the match to start up. We are having a slight technical difficulty, and it will be a few minutes before we can get things going. But rest assured, your regularly scheduled RainbowPoogle versus TheJokerMB match will be coming to you in the very near future. Stay tuned until then and enjoy the relaxing crystal theme. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament. I'm your commentator for tonight, Wote, and joining me in the booth is... Hey everyone, it's me, also Wote, because I'm doing this solo tonight. But you know who's not doing things solo? Our runners. There's two of them, and they have a forced white mage with them this evening. So, as you can see, we've got RainbowPoogle and TheJokerMB, who have decided to go with basically the same party. Not surprising, this appears to be the standard fighter and mage rainbow combination that we've seen a good bit in this tournament, giving you access to pretty much all the spell casting you want and hopefully a little bit more. Both of these runners are going to be 0-2 going into this matchup. So one of them is going to make it into the 1-2 bracket, and the other is going to go down to 0-3, obviously. That effectively makes this, if I'm not mistaken, an elimination matchup, since 0-3 pretty much knocks you out of the possibility of advancing to the bracket stage. Now, both of these runners have a decent amount of experience under their belt. The Joker is a much older hand than Poogle, but Poogle has also been doing a lot of work in the more difficult forms of the randomizer. She is one of our test subjects for the developers' latest and greatest ideas. Joker, I've done a commentary with a couple of times, and overall, both of them know what they're doing when it comes to this game. So, hopefully, this will be a seed that allows them to show what they can do. Otherwise, there's really not too terribly much to say until things can get going. But that should be momentarily. We're just waiting for the runners to ready up, and then we will be on the road with this one. So, those of you who are here in chat, what are you kind of hoping to see tonight? Are you hoping for something a little bit trolly, or are you counting on something a little more nice? In any case, we'll find out soon enough what's going on. Till then, like I said, we can just kind of enjoy this warm-up music together. Because I personally am hoping for both of them that this is a relatively nice and easy seed, considering the difficulties we had going into it. Oh, and here we go, we're off! So, both of them obviously are going to head into Corneria first and check out what spells are available. At Black Magic, we have, Warp, Ice 2, Lit 2, and Brack. So that Warp is definitely going to get bought. Cure 3 and Soft appear to be our only real options at White Magic. You might want that in Viz as well, but I'm seeing Ice 2, Warp, and maybe a Brack. Lit 2 could also come into play. Either way, though, that Warp is not being left on the table. Cure 3 is probably what we're picking up at White Magic when we get over to it, and Invis could conceivably also come into play. It's not the best spell because it only hits one player, but in the event that we don't come across a Defense Sword or Invis 2 or a White Shirt, it's a helpful evade source, so I can't imagine anyone's going to complain too hard about picking it up. In the meantime, the item shop, we got a silver bracelet, looks to be about it. Silver sword in the weapon shop, well, that's going to be out of our price range for a little bit, unless Temple of Fiends is incredibly generous. Cheap heals, though, so that's going to be nice. And there is plenty of room at the end, so overall, not a, game-breaking start, but you get some healing, you got some AoE damage, you have an insta-kill if you want it, and you got Warp. So I can't imagine either runner is going to complain about this start. So yeah, out the gate we're going to go ahead and take out some imps and go ahead and pick up what we can in terms of XP, gold. I can't imagine either of these runners is going to go past level 3 if they don't just pick up what they want and go. Yes, I probably should mention, since the chat bot has made it a point to point it out, joining us on tracking tonight is a third Wote. That will also be me. So if the tracker is a little bit slow, feel free to yell about it in chat, because otherwise our tracker very well might have missed it. Because he's got a lot of other things on his plate. But we'll make it work. Poogle looks like she's going to go ahead and make a play over to Dwarf Cave. Probably see if she can pick up some gold or gear before attempting Temple of Fiends. One thing she did not seem to have picked up is a pure potion. And let's go ahead and hope that the chests in Dwarf Cave have a pure potion in them. Because otherwise we're going to be listening to that until the fighter dies. And you don't want to wish fighter death on anyone. Well, we get a heal helmet out of Dwarf Cave, but that's about it. And that's going to just get strapped onto, I believe, her Black Mage. Joker going ahead and doing some stocking up in the meantime, but she just resets out based on that material. In the meantime, though, it is appreciated, Mr. Kelly R. Fluin, but I think I should be fine flying solo on commentary for the time being. If this turns out far worse than expected, then we can pull someone in. So, Poogle is on her way into the Temple of Fiends. And we're going to finally get to see what we're digging out over here. And Joker's not going to be too far behind her. Now, he might just go ahead to opt to hit Garland. Although he does have that cabin, so he can reset out. So they're probably both going to be checking these chests. Just going to need a moment here to process that, because I think this is now the second seed I've commentated that had a Mazamune in that chest. So both of these runners are... There's the bridge, and there's gold. So I think that's about as good a set of Temple of Fiends chests as you can really hope for. So, I need to go ahead and click that Mazamune. And for the brief period of time that we're still going to be in Temple of Fiends, because we have a Mazamune, Garland is not going to last very long. Alright, so we've got our princess. And Poogle picks up the crown. And the canoe. And Joker is not too far behind. And he's got his crown and his canoe. Apologies for cutting out. I try to use push to talk, and I'm not sure how hitting control and clicking on things is going to affect the tracker. In fact, let's find out real fast. Alright, never mind. I can't keep talking while tracking. Disregard that Astos. That was a test. Only a test. So, we do at least have a save item. We've got pures, heals, and softs, as is always going to be the case in Corneria. So, at the very least with that little nest egg there, both runners are going to have everything they need in the item side of things. So, with this bridge and this canoe out the gate, it'll be interesting to see which direction they go. Excuse me. Poogle knows that there's poison to the east, so she may go ahead and opt to head to Provoca, get her level 2 spells, and that PK pickup. Joker most likely is going to make the same call. We may see one of them or both of them opt for Matoya, but it is one of those things where they have options very early on thanks to that open progression flag. Open progression, of course, being the flag that makes that pass to the Dwarf Cave possible, and with the canoe in hand, you can go straight to Elfland if you want. And with the crown in hand, you can go ahead and opt to fight Astos, although neither runner probably wants to do that. Although they do have those AoEs, and they have that Mazamune in hand, so there shouldn't be anything they can't handle as long as they can survive the first round of combat. But Poogle is going to go ahead and make that Matoya check, pick up these 3 chests up here. She may opt to reset out if it's nothing good, but that early chest at Mazamune, well, that dragon armor is good, and so is that flame sword. She's going to walk this out, I'm almost certain, because that gives her red mage some single target offense. And that dragon armor is going to be fantastic for her fighter come class change. Now, with the incentive pool being what it is, we are almost certainly going to see a class change here. And the Joker is going to opt for that Dwarf Cave swing, and I assume, since he has not reset out already, that he is going to go ahead and head south from here. He is in a much better position armor-wise than Poogle was when she made this check, so it's a little bit more reasonable for him. Meanwhile, that Lit 2 did not finish off that Grey Wolf, but another Lit 2 does. So Poogle is hitting level 4, which is going to be pretty solid, because I imagine she's either going to Peninsula Power or make that Marsh Cave dive. And is someone in the booth with me? It remains to be seen. Alright, I believe we have a tracker in the form of Kaba Besh joining us. So, that is going to take a little bit of a load off of me. In the meantime, though, Poogle is continuing to make her way to Provoca. The Joker, it seems, took a wipe, but is going to continue pressing toward the Northwest Castle. I assume he's trying to go ahead and get that crown turned in. Poogle, not even checking the magic shop here in Provoca, she's just going to go ahead and toast some pirates real quick. Go ahead and get that off the plate and find out what BK has in store. Which could be anything. Normally when you see an early bridge like that, BK usually is going to wind up having the canoe because he's the last incentive spot, but we very easily could see we could see anything from him, and it's going to be the slab this go-round. For Poogle. So, only heals and pures here in Provoca. So, that is going to definitely be a thing. Those early cabins are probably going to come into play. Meanwhile, we see chain armor going on a couple of characters, at least the fighter. Poogle did not opt to pick up those silver bracelets like Joker did, probably trying to conserve her money in case the floater turns out to be the vendor item in Elfland or in Crescent Lake. But the Joker does make it to Astos and is going to go ahead and pick up his crystal. Say hi to Astos, everyone, and 3, 2, 1, say bye to Astos. Invis 2 is our big pickup at White Magic, and not a whole lot else. Black Magic is looking like it's going to be Quad X and Fire 2. So, not a whole lot going on here in the early level Magic. Elfland's really kind of our last hope for picking up something that's going to give the mages some heavy-hitting magic. I think we've at least seen all the level 2 spells, but we don't really want to see all the level 2 spells come the late game. But fortunately, with Joker's routing, we're going to figure out pretty quickly what we have in store in terms of magic going forward. Poogle is heading out of Provoca in the direction where we're going to find out very quickly what her decision is. And Joker's actually doubling back. He's not going to go ahead and go all the way to Elfland. He is going to probably go ahead and go to Provoca and then make a decision from there. I assume he's going to also head for Crescent Lake, like Poogle appears to be doing. So, we're going to have to head down this river route. For those of you who've not seen the open progression flags before now, one of the things that they did in addition to making the Dwarf Cave walkable, they have also, our dev team, made it possible for us to go ahead and travel to Crescent Lake by way of the river system. You can also go from Crescent Lake to Ice Cave. It is a very convenient setup, and I think Poogle took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. But she righted herself, and she's going to be heading toward Crescent Lake here. Unrunnable Hydras. That can sometimes be a very bad thing. Hydras get a decent number of hits, and sometimes can get shuffled some pretty nasty things. But Joker also making that Matoya trip, and picking up his herb. So there we go. Alright. So, Poogle is the first to Crescent Lake. She's going to check that item shop off the bat. And the rod is our vendor item today. So, I am pretty sure that's already in Poogle's bag. We'll double check that when we get a look at her item menu. But the Pro Ring, it looks like, is going to be ridiculously cheap today as well. Level 6 magic is going to be Harm 4, Life 2, and Heal 3. So we know what that White Wizard's going to be picking up. Zap, the only spell of note in level 6 black magic, and that's probably not going to see a lot of play in this seed. I'm going to be honest. And the Bottle from the Sage. So, yeah, she did pick up the rod. That makes sense. As cheap as it was, as much money as she had, I would be shocked if she didn't grab it. Alright. So, the interesting question is where Poogle's going to go from here. She still doesn't have any heavy-hitting spells on her characters. So she may opt to go ahead and make the Elfland Dash just to go ahead, just to find something a little stronger than level 2 magic. Joker is a little bit, is in roughly the same boat. He's a little bit behind, but I think his levels may be a little bit higher just because he went ahead and made that trip over. Ooh, but the fighter goes down in one swing from that Hydra. So, Poogle, we're going to see what she opts to do. She's going to keep trying this river route. And she is turning up probably... Is she thinking of heading to Volcano or Ice Cave? I mean, obviously one of the two she's going upriver. Anywhere else she'd want to go, she'd take the other turn. But Joker here is going to pick up his canoe here in a minute. And, well, wait, no, he has... His slab. His slab here in a minute. And then he, I assume, is going to make the same Crescent Lake trip, get a hold of his rod, and take it from there. So there is Joker's slab from BK the Pirate, and Poogle's continuing to try and make this river trip wherever she's heading. The river is looking a bit rude today, if only because of Poogle's current level situation, and the fact she did not pick up those silver bracelets like Joker. So her party is a little bit fragile at the moment. But we'll see how Joker fares on the river, and she is heading toward Volcano. Probably just looking to clear out the upper armory. Maybe dive down if Volcano looks soft, or if she picks up some decent gear. But she is at least level 7 at this point. And yeah, Joker also making the play toward the river, so let's see how this goes for him. Immediately running into 2 unrunnable Hydras. No, wait! She changed her mind. She is heading northward. She is heading for Ice Cave, it looks like. Poogle obviously going ahead and gambling that the floater is going to be our Ice Cave incentive chest. And she does have warp, so this is not a terrible check for her. She just got to get down to the bottom of Ice Cave. Joker, meanwhile, continuing his trek toward Crescent Lake, his fingers crossed that he's going to find the floater there, and he is going to be disappointed by this. And I think I gave him the bottle instead of Poogle, so one moment there. There we go! Everything is working now. We got this under control, everything's fine. Poogle is in Ice Cave. And at this point, everything looks like it's going to be fine. So, yeah, let's see what Unrunnable Cockatrice Mummy encounter. that is a start. Meanwhile, Joker getting a face full of fish as he continues on his way down the river. We're getting a nice good run, though, at the start of Ice Cave. Couple of mages, and not much else to worry about. And mages and wraiths. Poogle running with the fun percent names, and I believe some palette swapping action, because I believe those Gerwolves were very not blue. And the sorcerers are looking like wizards. So yeah, Poogle playing with all of our fun settings. The fun settings don't affect the action, but they do affect what you're looking at. So, you know, nice and aesthetic. And it looks like Joker did grab his rod, so he is going to be in a good position to at least dive Earth Cave if that is what suits his fancy. And he's going ahead and grabbing that bottle from the sage, and he's going to be faced with the same hard decision that Poogle did. He may opt for Elfland, though, because he is already looking at a herb check. So he's at least going to be in good position, and it looks like Poogle picked up some pro rings, but did not strap them on, but she's fixed that now. Frost Giants and Frost Wolves, another unrunnable encounter. So, I mean, the good news for Poogle is a lot of the later encounters are likely to also be unrunnable. But in the short term, we are looking at some annoyances, at least here in Ice Cave. But Poogle is close to these chests here on the eye floor, and you know, she's going to make some decisions here with that warp spell as to what to do with it. She's got plenty of warp charges, though, so she can also afford to dig a little bit deeper. She's got 2 warp casters, and they've both got plenty of charges already, so you know, she might opt to dig down a little bit into Ice Cave, look around, and then just hop out if the bottom floor proves to be a problem. Joker, meanwhile, is looking like he's going to do some grinding outside of Crescent Lake. The encounters here are more or less on the same scale as the infamous Peninsula Power, so he's going to be able to pick up some experience here, probably looking to get around 11 or 12, you know, high enough level to where if he does want to. Poogle not opting to use Warp. Ah, okay, she went ahead and grabbed that chest and is just going to skip the 2 spike tiles, potentially. So, gold and going ahead and giving this eye a go, see how fragile it is. The answer, not enough. And it's got gaze on it. And there is our vanilla floater for Poogle, so is she going to go ahead and take this and run, or is she thinking that she might want to dig out the bottom of Ice Cave? And she is doing the Final Fantasy Randomizer equivalent of playing with your chips at the table. And it looks like she is at least going to do a little bit of grinding here on the eye. With that Mosmune in hand, even if the eye takes a couple of hits, you got a red mage with a flame sword, and it looks like that 2-hitter was potentially a fluke. So she is going to be picking up a few levels here on the eye. Joker, it looks like, considering his next move, going ahead and saving at the inn, and yeah, he's going to continue doing a little bit of Crescent Lake grinding. With the weak attack magic we've seen so far, this is not the worst idea. You know, at least make sure that you've got some resilience on your side, since you're probably going to be fighting some longer battles than we're used to seeing in this randomizer. But yeah, at the moment we've just got both runners doing a little bit of quick grinding. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what their next move is. Obviously, Poogle's going to pick up her airship, and then probably we're going to see her go ahead and do that crown chain, get some free chests. try to get some better gear, find that tail. I think that's one thing she's probably thinking about. You've got that dragon armor in hand. If you don't dig out a ribbon in the near future, you're going to be able to at least, use the dragon armor to give your fighter/knight some resilience. And Poogle is deciding she's going to go ahead and dig more of Earth Cave, or Ice Cave out. We'll see what she decides to do. She is putting that white mage out front. She may be deciding to go ahead and Dan her, get some more experience for the rest of her party, especially that fighter with the Mosmune in hand. I believe with the Mosmune, you want the fighter to be somewhere in the 22-26 range in order to get as many hits out of him as possible. And since we don't know where fast is, the possibility exists that she will get some fast charges to basically make that fighter into a Cuisinart for the end game. Joker, meanwhile, continuing to do a little bit of work here. He, I think, was looking to pick up an extra pro ring for his party, and I think we may see him decide to go ahead and make some forward progress once he's recharged and all that. And we are. So, in the meantime, Poogle making a very heads-up play. The way that the RNG works with regard to whether or not who attack targets, it's going to roll your top 2 slots regardless of whether or not you have characters alive in them. So by placing her white mage in that second slot, she basically doubles the chances that it's going to hit the fighter. Because when it determines that it can't target the character in the second slot, it's going to target the first slot before it targets either of the other 2. So that basically guarantees that her 2 offensive casters are going to be in a position to do good work. So yeah, I don't know if she's going to keep her white mage down. With that level 2, with that life 2 at level 6, that does seem to incentivize keeping the white mage down just because you're not really going to get a lot of use out of life 2. I think probably 3 or 4 charges out of the levels you're getting it at. But if that life is low level enough, she may bring the white mage back up because then that life 2 is more useful. Because if you're at the point where you're leaning on those life spells, 3 or 4 is going to get you a little bit deeper, but you might still run into trouble. She does at least find a knife to put in her black mage's hands, which is nice. She's going to strap that pro cape onto her black mage as well. I'm not 100% sure who can cast life 2 where it was at level 6. I want to say that's not red mage accessible, but I am not 100% on that one. And I'm sure folks watching will be able to correct me if that comes up. Joker, meanwhile, is making his ice cave dive as well. And he has also cleared out his spot for a hero run. So, as far as I can tell, aside from the Pro Cape and that Zeus Gauntlet, there's not a whole lot of value so far here in Ice Cave, and Poogle's about to dig up the last spot. Alright, Kababesh in chat letting me know that Red Wizard should have access to Life 2, so it is likely that she is going to leave that White Mage damned and just let the Red Wizard kind of handle white magic. So, that is an interesting strategy. It's going to make sure she has plenty of levels on that Mosmune-wielding Red Wizard. Or not Red Wizard, fighter. And she is out of Ice Cave with Floater in hand, and that Floater is probably going to become an airship in the very near future. Joker, meanwhile, on his way toward the eye chests, and we'll see if he opts to dig Ice Cave, or if he decides he's also just going to go ahead and dip out. Well, not also, if he decides he's just going to go ahead and dip out. We know that that's not the worst move he can make. Zeus Gauntlet and Pro Cape are nice, but with the situation he's in, it's not necessarily going to be a game changer, but he is going to go ahead and dig out Ice Cave as well. So advantage rests with Poogle at the moment in terms of forward progress, because she's going to be able to take care of the crown stuff a lot faster than Joker did. Sorry, just trying to keep myself hydrated. As you can tell, I'm doing a good bit of talking. But, you know, Joker is going ahead and clearing out these chests we've already seen. He's going to pick up a Zeus Gauntlet, which will be nice, if only for the extra offensive firepower. Although, it's not in excess of what he's already got at his disposal. He's going ahead and using those castable items to conserve his White Mage's MP. Well, spell charges, rather. Poogle, meanwhile, continuing along this river, even at the levels she's picked up, just with the spells that she's got available, you know, she's not guaranteed she can take out these encounters in a hurry. They're kind of just above the cusp of what level 2 magic can reliably take out. And so, you know, she's probably going ahead and taking these fights just because with the numbers she's up against, running's not necessarily going to be reliable. And she's probably seen enough from these fights to know that, you know, there's some danger here. She also might just want the extra experience in gold, but regardless, you know, she is taking some fights along the river, and once she gets that airship, she's going to not be doing too much of that anymore. Joker running into some of these unrunnable frost giant encounters down here on the bottom floor. Yeah, another stop off in Crescent Lake to recharge. Okay, so she is going to pick up that white mage. I guess she just wanted to go ahead and get some extra experience while she was down in the ice cave. She's going to go ahead and get her heal supply picked back up. Ooh, I didn't even notice those cheap houses before. So that is going to be very nice for later in the game. And I think Poogle went ahead and stocked up on them. So this will be an interesting little string of events there. So, camping at the inn, going to make a beeline now for that floater. And where she goes from here is going to be an interesting play. The Joker, I think, is almost certain to go ahead and make that Elfland check. He's got the herb in hand. It's not much. It's basically the closest location, and it opens up all those key lock chests. Which will be nice because, as of yet, we haven't... And Poogle accidentally resets. She'll be fine here in a second. It's not a long walk back. Shuffling the Zeus Gauntlet onto her red mage, and she now has her airship. So, Poogle is heading straight to Volcano. Alright, so she's going to go ahead and check these chests here. I'm not sure if she's going to go ahead and dive Volcano all the way, or if she's just going to go ahead and clean out the armory before moving on to her free chests. This is not a play I think I would expect a lot of times. Because with the airship, you have so many chests in the Cardia Islands and over at Titan, and you have a couple of incentivized spots you can check, but she may just be dipping the top floor here. It's not likely to get you a lot of encounters, and it's a pretty good chest density for the trouble. And there's that opal armor. With the dragon armor in hand, that is basically money fodder, I'm pretty sure. If she had a second fighter, she's just going to skip the Grey Worm encounter here on the top floor, well, the second floor of Volcano. And yeah, she is just going to walk out. Probably not going to stick around for very long. Yep, there she goes. Well, she's thinking. She is thinking. Yeah, she's out of here. Where's she gonna go? She hasn't checked Elfland yet, and that 3rd and 4th level magic could... She is going to go ahead and head southward. Probably heading to... she's heading to Gaia. Going to go ahead and get that Oxyel, I imagine. But in the meantime... Oh! Level 7 Temper and Nuke. At the levels runners tend to favor going to Temple of Fiends Revisited and this flag set, she might get 1 or 2 shots of level 7 magic out of her Black Mage. And that is being generous. Like, we can probably consider it a factor maybe if she gets into a bind, or if she gets down to the Chaos fight with her level 7 charges still intact. Joker, meanwhile, I didn't see what caught him there, but he is down to his fighter and his white mage, I believe. And fortunately, he doesn't have very far to get out of here, but he's going to have to take the river back with just these 2 in tow. But Poogle goes ahead and picks up her bottle. Remember, she has not been to Melman yet, so does not stop to try and translate her slab, so no Lupa out of her today. And Poogle? Poogle, where are you? You're... Okay, Poogle is going to Castle Ordeals before checking 3rd and 4th level magic. She is apparently feeling pretty good about that Mosmune, so this is an interesting call I'm feeling from her. She hasn't checked most of the spell levels she has access to, because I believe she does have level 5 magic at her disposal. She does have the Mosmune in hand, and that is a very important factor, but she doesn't know what Joker... Well, no, she does know. She's the one who checked this. She does know that Nuke is not available to her. So she knows that that the best spells she has available are still out there at levels 2, 3, and 4. And we don't know where Fade is either, so that Forced White Mage and that Red Mage choice are still also on the table. So she's going to burn off an encounter here, and she's going to head into Ordeals. In the meantime, Joker is going to go ahead and keep making his way south. The good news is, with that Mosmune on the fighter, he can pretty much clean out anything he encounters. And that Zeus Gauntlet is basically making up for the lack of black magic casting, although that variance in Lit 2 is still playing a factor. Poogle, meanwhile, is taking advantage of those warp casts to navigate this maze and try to find the true path. But Joker does make it back to Crescent Lake, and he is going to go ahead and revive his characters, and Poogle does find her pillar, so she is in excellent position to go ahead and climb up and show us what is available here in the Castle of Ordeals. So, outstanding still in the incentive pool. We have the tail, we have the loot. That's actually it. So, 50-50 shot whether or not she needs to go to Waterfall. Now, she probably is going to want to go to Waterfall. Oh, the cube! The cube is the third thing that's still out there. So, cube is going to be in one of... So, the cube, the loot, and the tail are 3 outstanding incentive items. Tail is not strictly speaking necessary in this seed. With the Mosmune in hand, we could conceivably make it through Temple of Fiends Revisit without a class change. With the armor she's found, I will be surprised if Poogle opts to go that route. We have yet to see a ribbon anywhere, and that dragon armor is just sitting there taunting us. In the meantime, though, Joker going ahead and gearing up for his trip to the Southern Desert. And Poogle finding some ruse-casting sorcerers and getting away from them. So she's going to check these last 4 chests and then the incentive chest. And we are seeing a black shirt. That is nice. That's going to be very nice on the black mage come the class change. And it's just a little extra firepower. But again, gives us that problem that we're not really getting much of a contribution. And there is our loot. So Joker's going to go ahead and take that Peed fight, and Poogle's going to at least fight the zombie dragons. And I'm going to take this moment to go ahead and refresh my stream, because I think I'm a little bit behind our tracker. And Poogle is again arranging her party to potentially take out at least her white mage and maybe her red mage along with them. So, an interesting decision. I guess she's gunning to go ahead and get that fighter's levels up so that she can get as many swings out of the Mosmute as she can. It is not the worst play. She knows now that level 3 magic is really her best offense unless Fade got shuffled into one of the lower white magic spell slots. But Fade is not... Fade is a really solid elemental, or non-elemental offensive spell, but it's definitely not Nuke. Anyway, Joker is turning in his herb and is going to get the key for it. So, he's going to go ahead and check these chests, and then probably go poke around in Elfland and see what's available. Another iron armor, and not very much in the Elfland. Thank you, Joker! I was about to stare at you, too! So, Joker checking here. Saber at level 3. I would be tempted to pick that up on my red mage, because if I don't find a power bonk... Oh, and there is a Fade at level 3. Expert also on the table for the white mage. And I think for the knight as well, maybe? Not the best spell to pick up, but really good. And there's level 4 life and level 4 wall. So, Joker with a little bit of an edge right now, I'd say. He has access to some spells that can really make it a little less necessary to check chests, especially with the spells that we've seen, and that Mosmute in hand. And Ice 3 is there at level 4, so on the offensive magic side, really, Fade is the best spell we're probably going to have. With Ice 3 as a close second. Those level 5 spells we're going to pick up in Melmond might have something useful in black magic, but your 5th level casting is kind of where you're going to start not wanting to rely on those spell charges to carry you. Poogle, meanwhile, continuing to grind on zombie dragons. And just not really getting too many other party members taken out. But I think that's what she wants. I think she wants... If she can't necessarily get a lot of heavy hitting black magic, I think she's kind of banking on quantity. Getting enough spell charges to where it doesn't necessarily matter that she's not dropping things in one turn because she's taking them out in 2 turns. Because that Mosmute is what you're going to be leaning on in the late game anyway, so... This is not a bad move. She might not be necessarily inclined to do it this way if she knew that that Fade was right there at level 3, but, you know, she's making the decisions she's making, so she's working with the information she's got in hand. Joker, meanwhile, continuing his world tour and deciding to hit the chests in Temple of Fiends Revisited before cleaning out the Cornerian treasury, so... An interesting call, but not the worst one. you know, he's way to check these chests anyway. He hasn't seen a ribbon. And he's probably also looking for that power bracelet, or power gauntlet. With that Mosmune being your best chance of tearing through the Temple of Fiends, you want that power gauntlet if you can find it. Ooh, we have unrunnable gargoyles. That's going to make these chest checks annoying. But otherwise, I don't think it's going to be too big a factor. I think your other big gargoyle dungeon is Marsh Cave, and no one's going to go to Marsh Cave. But let's find out what's in these other two chests real quick. Oh! Well, there's the Vorpal Sword. Somewhere right now, a few of our community members involuntarily twitched and yelled, "The Game Changer," but, well, I guess with a class change, that's going to be helpful for the Red Mage to have. But with the Vorpal and Mosmune, we're probably pretty good on swords at this point. Fog 2 and Heal 2 and White Magic, you know, pretty decent. Bane and Quake and Fire 3 all at level 5 Black Magic. Fire 3 probably the most welcome, followed by Bane and Quake. Well, actually, I don't know. You're probably leaning on instant death more than straight damage for your offensive magic at this point. Just because you have only so much you can really do damage-wise with the spells you have. But if you can manage to connect some of these instant kill spells, that's a little handier. And it looks like Joker is opting to sell off some of this armor he's picked up to raise funds for more magic, I would assume. But he's got his slab translated now, so, you know, that's going to help him out rolling forward. I did it again. There we go. So, where is he heading from here? He's going to go ahead and dip into the Titan's Cave. We do not have the Titan's Trove flags on, so you do not need the ruby to check these 4 chests. And then I assume that we're going to see him swing south to Sarda to figure out what's there. And Poogle is still grinding over here on the Zombie Ds. I haven't seen what level she's gotten up to yet. But I imagine she's got to be pushing 20, if not higher. There we go. She has hit 21 with her 3 party members, and I'm assuming she's going to stop at 22 or so. Make sure her fighters got plenty of swings with that Mosmune, so she can just rip through anything that... there we go. So she is done with her grind. Still does not have the life spell, so she's just going to have to walk out with that dead white mage in tow. So, Cube at Sarda. So, at this point we know the tail is in the Waterfall Cave. Now, the question is, when is Poogle going to make that Sarda check and figure this out? Joker can flip a coin, basically, and decide which incentive spot he's going to check. And again, at this point, the only real reason to class change would be to open up some of those level 6 slots for some of your mages, and to maybe throw that dragon armor on your knight, which is not a bad call right now. We haven't seen any ribbons, as I've pointed out, and yeah, like, we have almost nothing in terms of defense except that dragon armor. And considering the spell situation, you may not want to necessarily count on your primary damage dealer not being targeted by anything, because that wall spell is only going to take you so far. Joker, however, is going to go ahead and head to Ordeal. So he's going to pick up that loot, and then he's going to be able to make that informed decision about whether or not he wants to class change. Poogle, meanwhile, heading back to the south. She is not stopping in Melmond yet. Alright, she's going to go ahead and turn in her crown, it looks like, and no, never mind. Okay, she's finally making that Elfland check. So she's going to pick up that life spell, she's going to pick up Fade, she's going to pick up Fire 3, and... Okay, she's going to circle around the back way. She's making some interesting decisions here. Joker is now in Ordeals, so... Or will soon be in Ordeals. He's going to burn off some encounters first. Poogle checking magic shops in the reverse order, so... She is eventually going to get around to Life, and she's going to see Wall. Now, the nice thing is, Life and Fade are not on the same level, so... She's not going to be hurting her offense too terribly much by picking up Life. Joker being able to evoke the same strategies that Poogle did, he is going to be able to use Warp to sidestep some of these wrong choices in the Pillar Maze. But Poogle finding Fade in a Red Mage learnable slot, I didn't note that earlier, so she's got plenty of firepower now to carry her along. And maybe wondering whether or not temporarily danning that White Mage was the best choice. Also picking up a Saber. Again, not a terrible plan. If your Knight goes down, or you don't find the Power Bonk, that Saber may be able to carry you through some fights that you might not have been able to get through otherwise. Alright, so she's doubling back now. Alright, now she's stopping off to deal with Astos. Joker, meanwhile, I believe about to pick up his black shirt. So the question I have here, the question here is Joker also going to make that decision to grind on zombie dragons like Poogle did? Or is he going to opt out and instead go for, some of the more common grinds to these flags, where you dig out Sky Castle and take fights there and pick up experience that way? He's thinking. He's going to go ahead and leave. He is comfortable with his level choices, and he's going to pick up levels somewhere else. And those unrunnable dragon, or I think those are worms coming into play. So, Poogle's picking up her herb. She is probably going to immediately go check her key lock chests. Interestingly enough, neither runner has yet gone to check the chests at the Cardia Isles. I assume both of them are considering holding off until they have the tail, or it just may not have been on either of their minds. Regardless, at this point, they're just kind of tracing over familiar territory. I don't remember there was really much of anything in Elfland, and really not much of anything in any of these chests that we've checked. Like, I think the most exciting thing we found was the Vorpal sword out of TOFR, so we'll see what happens here. But Joker is about to collect his Oxyale, and, you know, with as poor as we've been in support items this seed, and considering Joker is here, I feel like there's a really good chance that we are going to see a, Mermaid's check from him when he gets the Sea Shrine, because the man has his priorities. But first, we are going to see a Lefane check. He's going to go ahead and grab the chime. He did translate his slab, so no Lupa on his side. Poogle doing a little inventory shuffling. The fact she hasn't thrown out any of this later game equipment leads me to believe she is planning to pick up the tail. She does not know yet that it's in Waterfall, but she's eventually going to get over there once she's done, probably once she's done doing her key chests, because, you know, you're right by Melman at that point anyway. Joker with his slab is going to start making the trek back out of Lefane. Probably not going to take too many fights along the way. He is kind of at the point where the experience you're getting around here is not going to be worth the time. So Poogle, remember you talked to the good doctor herself. And Joker is going to be heading to the on-rack area. We'll see if he heads up to Waterfall. I will be surprised if he doesn't. But it is also a completely reasonable move to make in this seed. Also, there are gold bracelets at a price that I'm not sure it's going to be very much. I did not see that when Joker passed through, but it is at least going to be helpful to put on a couple of your characters. And, you know, you're probably going to find at least another gold bracelet or the jade bracelet out there in the wide world, especially if both of our runners, as I expect, are going to keep digging for ribbons. So in the meantime, Poogle's going to be thinking on her black magic choices, and Joker is going to just go ahead and dive into Waterfall. With that low-level warp, this is not a bad move. You can very quickly get out of here. As long as nothing in here has anything nasty first turn, this should not take very long. Unfortunately, the Whiz-Mummy encounter did not get the unrunnable flag, and there's a blizzard out of the mummies. How did we not see that in the ice cave? Good grief. Sleep and blizzard? Okay, I guess we are going to see some nasty stuff out of the ice cave. And, you know, while Joker muddles through this fight, you know, if you feel like having another stream open, or if you're getting sick of the sound of my voice, the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Weekly is going to be starting here in about 12 minutes, or 15 minutes, over on, I believe that's going to be Randomania 2? Yeah, Randomania 2. So, if you want some different Final Fantasy action, then feel free to head over there. Joker taking a wipe to that mummy encounter in the waterfall cave. Digging this tail out is going to be a bit of a challenge, but especially without those heavy-hitting spells to, take out the groups quickly. But regardless, so, if you want to check that out, feel free. Randomania is one of our fantastic partners. Our restreamer Narastra does a wonderful job helping out. Kind of a friend of the community, very hardworking. And, make sure to give our runners a follow as well, while I'm kind of just sitting here hoping that Joker can survive this trip through the waterfall cave. Good grief. This is the kind of thing where you want the dragon armor, and he takes another wipe. He just kind of takes a moment to collect himself. He is thinking, and he is deciding he would rather not deal with the waterfall cave yet. Poogle finally never mind. Poogle thinking about making a Cardia Isles check, and she decides she is also going to go dig the ice cave. That awful, awful ice cave. One advantage she has, though, is she's got about 7 levels on most of her party compared to where I believe Joker is. So, she may be able to just fight her way through this based on the higher M defense she has at her disposal. Of course, she's first got to deal with these unrunnable encounters. But Joker in on rack and going ahead and getting that hero run. Now, if Joker does not visit the mermaids, I will be shocked and probably confronting him about that in the post-game. Cure 4 at level 7, that's going to be competing with actually nothing for the White Mage. So, again, that's a spell you'd like to see lower level, but you only need a few charges for Cure 4 to do work, in terms of just saving you time and potions. And Joker is actually turning toward Kraken Floor first. Huh. Well, that's new and different. He may be just planning to come back for the mermaids, but that is a strange decision just knowing him. But alright, we're going to see how Poogle fares digging down for that tail. And here we go. Let's see how the mummies treat Poogle today. Not dealing nearly as much damage with those blizzards as Joker was taking, but managing to knock out almost the entire party. Fire 2 does take the mummies out, though, and I believe those were the dangerous component of this encounter, so she should be fine from this point. Going ahead and pumping some heal potions in. Joker finds a flame shield. That's going to be nice defense for his fighter, especially with Kraken ahead of him. He's going to probably check these free chests here, and also what is lovingly called the Sharknado room. And he's going to go ahead and hit Kraken up. So we're going to probably see our first orb lit here in the next, 3 or 4 minutes, depending on how this Kraken fight goes and how nice the... There's our opal bracelet, so... we have a fighter down on Poogle. It looks like the mummies are doing to Poogle what they did to Joker. Joker actually happened to check all the chests in Sharknado Room. Usually you'll see runners check the 3 chests you don't have to touch the spike tile twice to check, but... So, I'm assuming you didn't pick up anything too notable in that chest, but I'm sure chat will correct me if I'm mistaken on that front. Regardless, Joker is cutting up toward Kraken at this point, so... Again, it is interesting that he did not dip mermaids first, but, you know, it's not too hard to check. He may be wanting to get Kraken done, get a second hero run, and take it up to mermaids, and then warp out, but I refuse to believe, with no ribbons on the table and tail being as difficult to get to as it is, that Joker is not thinking about making that mermaid dip. Poogle, meanwhile, is back at the spike tile of doom, but with more of her party. Well, her party was intact last time, but... So, let's see how she fares this time. This spike tile is interesting because it can have a very different set of opponents. She does not get a different set of opponents. She gets somehow a worse layout than she got last time. And she is going to just try and outturn them and burn them down. She does have a couple of nuke charges on that black mage, and Fade gets off, so Poogle is going to be getting her tail out of this. Meanwhile, Joker has made it to Kraken. He is already out a red mage, and probably is... There is a ribbon. So... Just so it's clear, this waterfall cave required you to endure a situation where you desperately wanted a ribbon to get a ribbon. But there's not a whole lot else, but that ribbon the ribbon and the tail are probably making Poogle feel like she made a good choice here. Black Mage gets knocked out by by Kraken, who is fastening himself right now. But the Mazamune does work, and he is on his way to having his first orb lit. And Poogle is not going to waste her sweet time futzing around in Sea Shrine. She is heading out, and okay, no, he is bleeding off encounters. Joker is heading back in. Or not! Okay, he was bleeding off encounters to head back to the waterfall. Ladies and gentlemen, Joker did not check on his girls, and probably won't unless he's planning to swing back to Sea Shrine after collecting his tail. But go ahead and clip that. That is one for the books. I have to wonder if he opted to do that because he feels behind at this point. He, took a couple of deaths here in Waterfall. He spent a lot of time collecting the crown stuff. I don't know. I don't know why he would feel behind, but I guess he does, because he is not stopping to check mermaids, although that would be a respectable move given the treasure situation. Regardless, Poogle is finally going to be able to pick up that, class chain, that put on that dragon armor she's been lugging around since basically the beginning of the seed. She, however, does not have the Vorpal Sword available to her red mage. And Joker is up to the robots room, so let's see how he fares on this spike tile. Oh, good grief! This tile has a chance of rolling Paralisks and Cockatrices, excuse me, and not just mummies, but you would not think that watching this seed. Fortunately, between Fade and Fire 2, he's able to clear out the mummies, and the Whiz mummies are going to go down pretty quick. Poogle finding a second ribbon, it looks like, in the Cardia Isles in the meantime. So, that's good news for the Joker. He has that he's going to have those 2 ribbons. He's going to have that class change. So, you know, not going to Mermaids looking like a better and better decision. He has the Vorpal in hand, though. So that's also going to do him some good. Because he can go ahead and throw that on his red mage and have 2 melee combatants going into Temple of Fiends. If he didn't pick up Saber on his red mage, he may be rethinking that. Poogle heading back to Melmond. Is she thinking about maybe making an Earth Cave dip? No, she is going to go feed the Titan. Ladies and gentlemen, Poogle is a friend of the people. This is the takeaway from this. Did Joker reset out or something, or did he take a wipe? I didn't see what happened, but he is checking these chests again. And getting the ruby. Or maybe I'm getting him mixed up with Poogle's side. Oh no, that's right, that was Poogle who was over here, and Joker is the one who just now got to these islands. Alright. I've got it straight now. So, Poogle and Earth, and Joker is definitely in a decent position. He is a little lower level than Poogle, but the trade-off is he does have that Vorpal in hand. He's checked a couple of spots she hasn't yet. Because, yeah, he also has that Opal bracelet that she doesn't have because she hasn't been to Sea Shrine. At this point, both runners are probably mostly hunting for that power gauntlet. Power gauntlet being a weapon or a piece of armor that casts the Saber spell on whoever has it equipped and uses it in battle. Saber, I can't remember the exact numbers, but is basically a boost to both hit percent and damage. Basically assuring accurate attacks and high damage at that. In conjunction with the fast spell, a few uses of the power bonk is usually going to be enough to guarantee that you're just going to shred anything you come up against. And with that early Mazmune, and the decision to bring a fighter along, they want the ability to buff him up. Especially with Temper being at 7th level. Yeah, it's been a relatively rough one. There's been some, just speaking to chat, there have been some interesting difficulties along the way. Since we are kind of at the hour mark, and Poogle's just kind of making her way through the Earth Cave, She picks up a katana she doesn't need, but she might be able to sell that to pick up some stuff down the line. But just to kind of go over what was found. Crown and Canoe were located at... No, wait, no. It wasn't Crown. I really should have taken notes now that I think about it. But we did get the, we got the Canoe off of the rolls, and I think we got the Crown off of them too. BK the Pirate had the Canoe, and the slab was located at the Sages. Poogle opting to go into the party room and do a little bit of playing around. The rod was our vendor item and located in Crescent Lake. After that, the loot was in the Castle of Ordeals, the cube was at the Sage Sarda, and the tail was in a very trolly waterfall. And Ice Cave had Vanilla Floater. So, we found the Mozamune in basically the first chest of the game, the lower left-hand corner in Temple of Fiends. And a lot of this seed has basically been the fighter beating things up with the Mozamune because... Oh, there's our third ribbon! More or less because we could not find any decent attack spells aside from Fade at level 3. So, overall, this seed has been fairly trolly. And hey, there's our adamant. So at this point, Joker is digging out the Mirage Tower on his way to Sky Castle. This is basically the highest chest density location, and a good chance to pick up some experience that he's going to need to get where he wants to be. And Demarine in chat making a pretty excellent point. Mirage 1 has the goods. So at this point, given the situation this seed, we're probably going to see both runners with 3 ribbons and the Mozamune and the dragon armor going into Temple of Fiends Revisited. The real question is, are either of them going to see the Power Gauntlet? Joker, for his part, is uninterested in checking the second floor of Mirage Tower. We'll see if he checks anything up here on the Sky Castle. Second floor Mirage Tower has a pretty good chest density, but it's also a bit of a walk. And Unrunnable Blue Dragon, nice! Unrunnable Blue Dragon that hits like a truck. So Joker's at least going to skip out on the first floor of Sky Castle. That leads me to think he is pretty much in go mode. We might see him check the 4 chests before you get to the teleporter floor, but we'll see. Meanwhile, Poogle has gotten down to Lich 2. I don't think she really found too much of note here in Earth Cave. Or not Lich 2, Lich 1, but she's going to pretty much just demolish Lich 1. This should not even be an issue. Okay, Joker making me a liar. He is going to check a few of the other chests here on floor 3. I guess with the warp spell in hand, this is not too bad a set of checks to make. Poogle lighting her first orb, and now we'll see where she opts to go. Interestingly enough, neither runner has been to the depths of Volcano yet. But it looks like Poogle might be planning to go that way. So we'll see what checks she makes. You know, you got a good string of chests along the lower levels of Volcano, but she has 2 ribbons in hand, she has the Masamune. She may also feel like she doesn't need to spend time looking for the power gauntlet. It looks like Joker found too terribly much on the 3rd floor of Sky, and he is going to go ahead and press on to Tiamat and the Bridge of Destiny. So if you want to see a war mech, you guys might want to go ahead and start hoping it happens. Our Hydra's also unrunnable tonight. This is not a good night if you don't like fighting things with a lot of heads. Ooh, and those unrunnable R Hydras showing up for the Joker as well. Poogle is stacking on the levels. She might not have too bad a time in Temple of Fiends Revisited at the rate she's going. And there's an Aegis shield, so once Poogle picks up that 3rd ribbon, assuming she doesn't just go mode Mirage Tower, she is going to be in really good shape defensively. Her Knight is going to have coverage on 5 of yes, Drumbordist, 23. Poogle decided to do a 3-man grind on Zombie Dragons level 21 and has been taking a few fights since then. She's had some unfortunate episodes in Temple of Fiends Revisited, so I'm not surprised she's opting to go for a little more safety. Joker, meanwhile, is taking on his Tiamat fight. And, again, with the scarcity of spells we've seen, I imagine that he is going to go for the Bane strats he is going for. Yeah, I don't think we've seen Fade, or not Fade, Fast. I think that might be a level... Ooh, and Tiamat with Thunder. And Joker with a Masamune and Fade. So... the thing is they don't really have much in the way of AoE. They mostly have level 2 elemental spells up through whatchamacallit, level 4, where we saw Fire 3. Fade is at level 3 and Nuke is at level 7. So their magic is not great. They have an early Masamune, and that's carried them through a lot of this. Power Bonk, I don't think we've seen too much of, unfortunately. So, it's kind of a situation where, you know, if the Power Bonk's out there, then Poogle just picked up in Volcano while I was looking away. Yeah, Temper is also at level 7, though. So, it's a situation where, basically, this seed is not being very generous. You can just see what the white magic spell list looks like right now over on Joker's side. And we'll get a peep of the black magic spell list probably during this carry fight. Drumbordis in chat chiming in, pointing out that Fade will probably see 5 uses tops in TOFR, and suggesting that you don't want to necessarily use them on Lich 2 or Carry 2 and save them for your later fights. Other members of chat are pointing out that, you know, you might want to go save those for unrunnables, and there are some pretty rude unrunnables scattered out through the seed, so it'll be interesting to see what they opt to go with, these 2 runners. Joker, however, is just going to go mode Volcano. I do not believe we've seen a power bonk pickup from him, so he may just be thinking he's just got to go for it and count on the Mozamune and whatever he can do with his casters to carry the day. He does have Saber on his Red Mage and the Vorpal on there, so he's not completely without options in that regard. So Poogle is going to be interesting. She may continue to dig, or she may opt to just go ahead and say, you know what, I've dug as much as I can afford to, I haven't come up with the power bonk, I've got 2 ribbons, I've got Mozamune, I've got Dragon Armor, and I've got Aegis, let's just go for it. I actually don't think we've seen the white shirt yet, or the Thor's hammer. I think we've only seen black shirt and Zeus's gauntlet as far as casting items go, and the heel helm. Like, this seed has been interesting. Google's stopping off in Melman again. She might be looking to pick up some more gold bracelets. She has not been able to check the Sharknado room and get her opals, so this makes sense. Joker, remembering he's already been down to the Titan's Trove. And he is just going to be able to go mode Earth Cave, so he is bleeding off encounters to go ahead and pick up that hero run once he's inside Earth Cave. And yeah, he is not probably going to stop for anything except maybe the Vampire's Chest. Google, meanwhile, is going to go ahead and hit Sea Shrine up. She may dip into Mermaid Floor. We know Joker didn't, which, you know, I hope you're all sitting down for that, but Joker did in fact skip Mermaids for this seed. But yeah, otherwise, as I said, Joker is just going to dive for it. And Poogle is going to go ahead and pick up some Cure 4 charges just in case. In Joker's defense, there was like a 6 or 7 second pause when he got to the crossroad in the top of at the beginning of Sea Shrine. And he was technically closer to Mermaid's side, but he made the decision, turned to Kraken, and didn't look back for his girls. Oddly enough, Poogle is making the call to go to, Mermaids. Neurestra, are we sure that you have the runners on the correct sides? Well then, that's just weird. But I'm sure we'll get an explanation from Joker, when the time comes. Because, as Demarine is pointing out, he is 0-2, and while he wasn't in go mode at the time, does know what he's up against. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say we're going to have to ask him about this, because clearly the man was desperate. Oh hey, I didn't even notice that oh no wait, the vampire encounter is always unrunnable, never mind. But Joker does check the vampire chest, turns up with $2 grand. And is going to press on from there. So let's find out what the mermaids had that Joker missed out on. Now, one thing to bear in mind, Poogle does not have the Vorpal Sword that Joker picked up in Keylock TOFR. So that Ice Sword may actually be the best weapon she's going to find for her Red Mage to keep in hand. Let's see, that Ice Armor's not going to do too much for her. Joker, it looks like made the correct decision to skip out on mermaids. Mage Staff and Ice Sword, about the only 2 items of note, and the Flame Sword, she doesn't really even need the Ice Sword, so... Curiously holding on to the Wizard Staff, I guess being able to throw confusions out better than nothing. Or throwing a confusion out's better than nothing. Let's talk English correctly. So Poogle's now swinging around to go test Kraken. Meanwhile, Joker is about to get to Lich, and we saw that Lich did not put up much of a fight for Poogle, and I don't imagine that it's going to be much different for Joker. He is deliberately opting to keep his Black Mage down, though. I know he has charges of life on at least his White Mage. So the fact that he hasn't picked up his Black Mage may be a deliberate danning on his part to pick up a few extra levels before TOFR. Alright, yeah, he is definitely, he's definitely danning his Black Mage. And yes, Demarine, Lich is technically kind of dead already. But, as you might be aware, almost dead is not the same as all the way dead. And Lich, by virtue of the fact that he is able to attack you, is technically almost dead. Joker cashing in that adamant for the Excalibur. and the rare getting to see the blacksmith sprite lit up. Since I do technically have the comms right now, and we're kind of in a lull as Joker prepares and Poogle makes her way through the floor above Kraken, I just want to say that the gentleman who prepared that blacksmith sprite is incredibly handsome and cunning, and should feel very proud of himself for all the things that he has done with regard to making that sprite in particular. I'm talking about myself, obviously. I am really proud of how the blacksmith thing turned out. But enough tooting my own horn, because Poogle's picked up her opal bracelet, and Joker has finished his preparations. So, let's find out what we're in for. Oh, hush, y'all. I have been talking nonstop for an hour and a half just about. I am allowed to do a little bit of self-promotion, okay? Alright. So, we are in Temple of Fiends Revisited. And... Unrunnable Gas Dragons. Really? Oh, we have been graced by the presence of Will the Dragon Slayer, Cleosis, who has pointed out that he is unfamiliar with the concept of self-promotion, which fits very well with his image of being one of the most humble members of our community. So I'm guessing that all the other races have wrapped up, because we're seeing a bunch of folks in chat who were definitely not here before. So it's good to have all of y'all with us. You've missed out on a heck of a seed. Basically the only real damage-dealing spell we've had outside of, like, level 2 elemental spells this seed in the first floor levels was Fade. I think there might have been a Brack somewhere in there, but very magic poor. We did, however, find a Mosmune in the lower left-hand chest in Temple of Fiends. So, very poor on the magic offense, but very good on the damage side of things. Also, that is not good, Demarine. But, you know, hopefully everything will work out there. But glad you landed safely. The validation chests have a light axe and some gold in them. Two things that are not the most useful things to find there. I'm sure Joker would have loved to have seen that power bonk, because we have not seen a power bonk. In a seed where we desperately need to be able to power bonk, we don't have one. Which actually might explain why Joker grabbed that Excalibur. Right now, he does have Saber Charges on the 3rd level slot for his Red Mage. So he may be thinking that he might have to resort to basically manually bonking his Red Mage via magic, putting the Mosmune on him, and going to town. I doubt that, because that's the kind of thing I would do, and if I've learned anything commentating these races, if I would do it, no one else is going to be doing that. Poogle does clear out Kraken while I'm busy yapping about Temple of Fiends, and is on her way to turn in her chime. We know she got her slab translated earlier, thanks to our excellent tracker, Kababesh. And we will be seeing her make her Tiamat, descent soon. Now, Poogle, I'm not sure if she is going to do more diving than Joker did. Because against the opponent she's up against, even with the garbage this seed has thrown at her, she is in a position where she is you know, still one orb down at the hour 40 minute, getting close to the hour 40 minute mark. She's got to be thinking she probably needs to be go moding sooner rather than later. So yeah, Joker meanwhile has made it down to the Earth floor. He does have a very lovely black wizard carpet at his disposal, and seems to pretty much just be trying to outrun everything he can. He did get slowed down with those unrunnables, which probably makes him feel a little bit of pressure too. So yeah, I do have to agree with what Chad is saying. A Demarine Wilcliosis team up on commentary would be very excellent for everyone, I'm sure. Alright, so Poogle is going to pick up that third ribbon here in the Mirage Tower, as well as her Adamant. So, we'll see what she does with it. But Joker is through Lich 2. Lich 2 did not pull out something nasty in the first 2 rounds, because, let's face it, that's the only chance Lich 2 has to pull out something nasty. And we are on our way to Carry 2. Now, Carry 2 is normally not that bad a fight, but sometimes Carry 2 pulls out surprises, and considering I do not believe we've seen the white shirt, and Invis 2 was not at a great level, if I recall correctly. You know, this could turn ugly if Carry 2 decides to just start swinging. And Carry 2 has Rub, which is unfortunate for her, because that's not likely to do any good. And Carry 2 goes down. So, for those of you who joined us after Joker cleared out Mirage and Sky, he only checked the first floor of Mirage and the third floor of Sky, skipping out on all the other chests. So, if Poogle decides to check either the first or second floor of Sky, because it's looked like she's not going to do second floor Mirage, we'll see some unexplored territory. But yeah, Joker is now about halfway to Kraken 2. And Kraken 2 is probably going to be the first really big test here. You know, like I said, we don't have the white shirt, if I recall correctly. We don't really have too much Invis 2. We don't have the defense. So if Kraken comes out swinging, this could go very poorly, very quickly. I don't even think we have Ruse, at least where the Knight can cast it. And I think Life was also... yeah, Life was level 4, so that's also out of reach for the Knight. So Poogle also skipping out on floor 1. If you're going to skip out on floor 1, you're skipping out on floor 2. So, we're likely to see Poogle maybe check the 4 chests on Sky 3, and then she's going to book it to Tiamat. Try to make up some lost ground. Joker immediately going to Bane strats, and... alright, Invis 2's on level 2, so he does at least have some decent Invis 2 shots. I'm not sure which part you're thinking is a thing, Zardia, but yeah, it's a thing. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's a thing, because that's how this community rolls. If it can be a thing, it's a thing. So Kraken 2 so far, putting out a little bit of damage, but not enough to really make Joker feel threatened with those 3 ribbons. You know, the problem he's running into is he does not have the ability to make that fighter hit harder. And thanks for the 5-bit cheer, Zardia. Zardia, one of our hardworking administrators here in the Final Fantasy Randomizer community. and you know, just generally all-around pretty awesome dude from my experience. But Joker does get Kraken 2 down, and is one step closer to managing to push through TOFR. And the Hangry Canuck also joining us. This seed has been interesting. Not a lot of heavy-hitting magic available at levels where it matters. Masamune out of the first chest in Temple of Fiends the first time through, and no Power Bonk. So it's basically one of those seeds where damage does not come very easily. But we did find 3 ribbons and a dragon armor. So it's one of those things where we have plenty of defense, but have to count on winning wars of attrition. Joker basically just brings his Black Mage up to take exactly 1 hit. That is amazing. And there's that 1 hit. Poogle is looking for that War Mech encounter, I believe. She has done this before, and she will do it again. And White Mage down on Joker's side. And Red Mage down. If Joker gets through this Tiamat fight, he is on his own to deal with Chaos, in a situation where he lacks a Power Bonk. And this is his probably last chance. Oh, but Tiamat throws some mercy his way with a Quad X. And there it is. So Joker takes his first wipe in Temple of Fiends Revisited. Joker does have life too, however, it was level 6, I believe. I don't recall if it is in a Red Mage learnable slot or not. It was the 3rd slot in Crescent Lake. So, if anyone off the top of their head can tell me which slot that is, by all means. But yeah, Nuke was at level 7, as was Temper, and as far as I can tell, Fast is at level 8. No Power Bonk to be found. So this is a situation where both runners are at a bit of a bind. Both of them feeling very behind, thanks in part to a particularly nasty waterfall. Mummies had both Sleep and Blizzard, and as all of you are aware, Mummies show up quite a bit in the waterfall. Joker, I think, is currently trying to remember what chests he skipped, because I think he is realizing that that Power Bonk is kind of essential. He does have Saber on his Red Wizard, so he does have the option of doing the bonk strategy you don't want to do, where it's less bonking and more manually buffing a Red Wizard, who has the Masamune on him instead of your fighter. And yeah, Poogle at least has an advantage here in that she is much higher level than Joker. I believe she's sitting at 23 or 24 with most of her party. Whereas Joker is, I think, at 20. Yeah, so he hit 20 in his first dive of Temple of Fiends, so obviously he needs to get those levels back. And he may just be grinding here to pick up a couple extra levels. Question chat, did Joker wipe? Yes, he did. Tiamat 2 bodied his party, and he might have been able to pull it out with his fighter, but then he would have had to have hero-moded Chaos. Poogle, however, has her 4th orb lit, and she is going to make probably her attempt on Temple of Fiends Revisited. She already has those extra levels that Joker is probably hunting for right now. Yeah, 24s and a 20 on her white wizard. So she's getting a couple extra hits. He's not. She's got more spell slots and a bit more magic defense. I believe this is a Kababesh production, Zardia, in terms of who rolled this seed. So, this this will be interesting. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting Temple of Fiends Revisited, folks. This is what it's going to look like when you really cannot buff your meleeer, but you also need your meleeer in order to beat anything. Poogle's going to go ahead and check these 3 chests, so she will actually pick up the Vorpal Sword. So for those of you who are Team Game Changer, both runners will have it. Whether or not they use it is another story. To answer the question, chat, Joker has already made 1 trip through Temple of Fiends Revisited, and frankly, with the situation he's in, he really can't afford to be running around in Temple of Fiends Revisited. While he's got defense, not the sword, just the concept, he does not really have much in the way of offense. And it's one of those things, the chests are all out of the way outside of the 2 validation chests, which only had money and a light axe. So he's kind of in the position where he doesn't really know, he doesn't really have much he can do deeper in Temple of Fiends. And since they don't have exit, this is probably better for him to stay shallow so he can just warp out and save his progress. Question chat, did they skip mermaids? The answer is yes and no. You will not guess who skipped mermaids and who didn't, because the answer is Joker skipped the mermaids while Poogle did not. And yes, we checked, the feeds are attached to the correct runner. So in the meantime, so Poogle's decided she's going to make her dive, which makes sense. She is in a fairly solid position level-wise. Equipment-wise, as noted, she would like to have the Power Gauntlet. Zardy in chat mentioning that Broadster vs. Lynn the Cat will be recapped later tonight, somewhere. I'm sure he'll let us know where it's getting recapped later on. Joker, it looks like, is probably also prepared to make his second attempt. Poogle having a slight lead on that. Alright, so the recap race will be happening on Zardia's channel. So if you're not following Zardia already, now's as good a time as any. Most of our recap races, which are situations where the runners are not in a position to race with a restream, usually get a recap race that night or the following one, either on Zardia's channel or here in the Randomania family of stations. So why don't you follow all of those? Randomania, Randomania 2, Randomania 3, and Randomania 4, Twitch.tv. Enjoy the magic. So Poogle is getting close to the Earth floor, while Joker is... I believe he is still grinding on floor 1 of Revisited. Probably trying to get that extra swing on his fighter with Masamune. Which can make a big difference without Fast at his disposal. And also give his party a little more resilience. And Falconic is there in chat joining us. I guess all the races are pretty much done at this point. So... okay then. So yeah. We're kind of just waiting to see how Poogle does when we get to the part of Temple of Fiends that actually sucks. Lich 2 we know went down like a sack of wet bricks for Joker, so I can't imagine that Poogle is going to have too much more trouble. And I think Joker may be getting ready here. He's got level 23 on his on his Knight and White Wizard. He's gonna warp out, save these levels, and Is he gonna make his... Is this his turn? Is he gonna make his chance? He's got 3 nukes on... Poogle has 3 nukes on her black wizard, so that's actually not too bad. That's gonna come in handy. And there goes Lich. Alright, Fire Floor. Immediately run into a pack of a Gamma. Alright, chat pointing out that Poogle's actually up to 325s from some of the fights she's had to take down here in the Temple of Fiends, so definitely got the level advantage. Joker, though, does have a pair of 23s now, so let's see how this goes. Alright, Poogle 2, Carry 2. Carry 2, I don't recall having too much. I think she might have swung pretty hard, but she also went down pretty quick for Joker at much lower levels. And I believe she has Vorpaled up her Red Wizard. Not a bad play. Yeah, she's not even bothering with magic right now. Her damage is entirely fixated on her Knight and her Red Wizard. Alright, so Poogle is now to the water floor. Not taking advantage of those the lower part of the interior rooms to avoid encounters, but you know, that's not necessarily something that's widespread knowledge, so something useful to keep in mind. You can walk along the bottom of these rooms. Those tiles do not count for encounters. Alright, so Joker is below the Phantom floor at this point and making his way down. So, Poogle gearing up for her first crack at Kraken 2. As we know, Kraken 2 was, how shall I put this? Kind of brutal. At the very least, he hits really hard. Now, Poogle also has Invis 2 on deck. And she may opt to layer up the Invis 2 to deal with Kraken, and she leaves her Knight and her Red Wizard at the front of the pack. I don't hate this because she does have life on the White Wizard and may be thinking about, you know, she may just be assuming she's going to take some deaths to Kraken 2 and wants to protect her ability to pick up the pieces. She is going to try and strip defenses from Kraken 2, and that is going to be an immediate lack of damage from the Knight. Yeah, again, this is the problem that both of these runners are going to deal with. Their main source of damage is in the form of melee attacks, and you just don't have a lot of melee damage possible with the way the magic fell. Well, obviously, to answer the question, chat, Fire 2 Kraken does not mean this is Earthbound. That would be Fire Omega. Or I guess Fire Gamma? Fire Beta? I can't remember what Kraken had. Oh no, he had a Crashing Boom Bang attack. Speaking of Crashing Boom Bangs, we've now seen a nuke and a zap out of Kraken 2 that we did not see last time. Those fades off of the Red Wizard, and Poogle at this point was hoping that Kraken would ignore the Red Wizard. Unfortunately, the Red Wizard goes down. Poogle does not have access to, life anymore. Life was on level 4, White Magic, so that it is out of the Knight's reach. And Life 2 was at level 6, and Kraken goes down for Poogle. She now has a level 25 Knight with no self-buffing ability to get through what we already know is a pretty mean Tiamat 2, and she's just going to reset. That is not a hero mode she wants to have. Oh, did I also miss a Cure 4 on Kraken 2? Good grief. Alright. So, Joker now has the lead. He has gotten past Lich 2 and is on his way to Carry 2. As we already know, neither of these pose too terribly great a threat to anything that's not made of tissue, like a Black Mage. The Knight has spells, but none of them are very helpful except for Invis 2. Basically, all of the useful spells got rolled out of reach for this seed. Fast, as far as we know, is at level 8. Temper is at level 7. Saber is level 3, but that doesn't exactly help the Knight very much. We saw neither hide nor hair of the Power Gauntlet, or the Defense Sword, or the White Shirt. So, this is a situation where basically both runners are kind of praying to the Dice Gods at this point. Because their only hope is essentially that they can get the crits they need to push through. The one strat I haven't seen either of them resort to yet, they do have Saber at level 3 and a Red Wizard. They could strap either the Vorpal or the Masamune onto that Red Wizard and just Saber up and hope for the best. But it's a thing. Yeah, Cure 3 is also an option, but it's a situation where that Knight is going to be taking hits. Like, at best, you've got several rounds of Invis 2ing that you have to do, and not very many charges of Invis 2. Like, I think next time she pulls up her status screen, yeah, her Knight has 1 charge available of all of those spells. So it's one of those situations where, yeah. I'm not sure what's making Poogle continuously reset. I think she's trying to avoid these unrunnables. She's trying to conserve her resources because, again, she has nothing in the tank in terms of free casting to really work with. Anything she burns up on these unrunnable encounters, she does not have for some very dangerous lower floors. So Joker, meanwhile, has made it down to Kraken 2 again. So let's see how this goes. As we know, though, Kraken 2 is now on the dangerous list, as is Tiamat 2, and this probably means that Chaos is made of wet tissue paper, but Chaos can also have some nasty stuff. Yeah, Split, again, I think it comes down to the fact that what the Knight has access to isn't really going to help him. He's going to do more damage with that Masamune, by and large, than he's going to do with 1 shot of Fade. And the same goes for that Invis 2. He gets 1 shot of it that's not going to really slow anything down. The Cure 3 might be nice to have, but neither of these runners is really going through potions super fast here in TOFR. So it's a situation where I don't really blame anyone for not bothering to get anything on that Knight. But Joker definitely having a less painful time with Kraken 2, probably because he's willing to just burn those fades out to get through this fight. Is he using the Excalibur on his Knight, though? Yeah, okay, so he's got the Excalibur on his Knight and the Masamune on his Red Wizard, so he's splitting that melee damage between the 2 characters. I don't hate that move. That is a move I like because it at least improves the chances of being able to push out damage every round. And yeah, so with the life charges where they were, he is able to pick up his party members as best as he can. So, alright, Tiamat 2 is what took Joker out of the fray last time. So, let's see what happens this time. Alright, so... swapping to Vorpal on the Knight over Excalibur... I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up here. He's got Vorpal and Excalibur on his Knight. I didn't recall which one he went ahead and equipped on his Knight. Alright, so I think he went Excal on his Red Wizard. And then I assume Mazza on the Knight. Yeah, alright, so that's the situation we're looking at. Joker has resorted to the Game Changer for his Wizard. Poogle through with Carry 2, and, you know, it's one of those things, Carry 2 and Lich 2 have proven to just kind of be procedural things, so Kraken 2 is where we really need to start being concerned. Joker throwing everything in the kitchen sink in terms of his defensive spells at this Tiamat 2. Vendor item was the rod available for 5k in Crescent Lake. Like, it and basically 25,000 GP would have gotten you the vendor item and 4 pro rings this seed. It was kind of ridiculous. Swirl out of Tiamat 2. But Joker's party is still standing. He does not have any heal spells, though. So there's nothing he can do but keep swinging and maybe heal up one of these party members. But there we go. He is through Tiamat 2 with a Fade Charge. Alright. He has a decent bit left in the tank. But we're going to see what happens. Alright, Joker's healing up. I think he may be low enough on life to where if he brings the Black Mage up, he's not going to do it until he's standing at Chaos's floor. Gets the run to Chaos. Poogle, meanwhile, Invis 2ing up over on Kraken 2's side. Has the Masamune on her Knight. Is throwing a Brack out at Kraken. Does no good. She's gonna throw a Fade out with her Red Mage, and a Nuke out with her Black Mage. Chaos. Alright. Didn't see what she opted to do with her Black Wizard, but I'm sure we'll find out momentarily. Ice 3. Masamune with her Fighter. Invis 2 on the White Mage. Good enough to help Chaos miss. Out of Fade charges for her White Wizard, he's going to also start throwing Ice 2. Gonna keep piling on the Invis 2s with the White Mage. Poogle, meanwhile, is still mostly upright in the Kraken 2 fight. Continuing to throw those nukes out there, rolling low on those. Gets through Kraken 2. Joker, still upright against Chaos, just throwing everything he has got that deals damage at him. Chaos attempts stop, gets nobody. Now swinging with his Red Wizard, who I think is completely out of damage spells at this point. Fade charges still exist on the White Wizard. Chaos not hitting very hard. Assuming he doesn't have anything like Nuclear, Joker looks like he may be in a good position to just whittle this Chaos down. Yeah, just down to the bare bones attack spells at this. Oh, I spoke too soon, there is Nuclear. Takes the Red Wizard out, leaving just the Fighter to pray for some critical hits, and the Wizards to just throw anything they've got left. I am surprised he is still attempting these, oh, Oh, Joker not sure who even wants to heal at this point. Going ahead and picking the fighter up. And Chaos just massacres the Black Wizard. We are down to a White Wizard and a fighter. White Wizard just throwing up Fog Twos, trying to neutralize what the Chaos has. Poogle weathering this Tiamat 2 a lot better than Joker did, it looks like. Definitely taking some hits, but there's another nuclear. I spoke too soon. Joker just doing whatever he can with the Mosmune and throwing up Fog 2s to at least get as much Absorb layered on as he can. And critical hit for 200. Oh, if this Chaos rolled high for HP, then depending on if Poogle can get through this Tiamat with her red wizard intact, you know, never mind. Chaos is down on Joker's side. And official time is going to be 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 30 seconds, and Poogle is going to go ahead and forfeit. She does not want to have to deal with whatever Chaos had in store, which was not actually that bad, but that was a very frustrating Temple of Fiends Revisited, so I do not blame her at all. So let's get those GGs in chat anyway, folks. And I'm sure we'll see both runners here in the chat mostly. Alright, we'll be getting folks in here shortly. Poogle is going to at least finish this out and see what the Chaos was like, but I think she just wants to just go ahead and not let the seed win in terms of making her fight. I'll pull Joker in, though. Okay, there we go. Norastra, I think, was trying to pull you at the same time I was.
What is going on?
What's going on is two people trying to be helpful at the same time. Anyway, GG, Joker.
Thanks, that's my first win ever in this thing, by the way.
But
Between
hey.
last year and everything else, that was... I was looking at it at 1:30 going, Poogle's gonna finish, there's no way. When I hit 140, after the first wipe, I'm like, yeah, she is going to finish, or Poogle is gonna finish before me. And I just happened to get lucky. Probably gonna ask me, hey, what? You were in go mode, you had the Massa, you had the 3 ribbons, so on and so forth. I was looking for the Bonk Glove or Defense Sword, and I just couldn't find it.
Oh, yeah, no, I think everyone realized you were both digging places that people normally don't dig for the power bonk. Neither of you found it. But Joker, I'm just going to jump right to the question everyone involved with this has. Where are the ladies, Joker? After all of the crap you have given everyone else in this tournament that you've had the chance to, where were the ladies?
So I knew Poogle is a really good runner. I didn't go and see them. I probably should have. Did you go to the mermaids?
What did I find down there? I don't think I found much down there, to be honest.
Yeah, you found the wizard staff, the mage staff, and the ice sword. Also, GG Poogle.
Yeah,
I
good job.
apologize that you had to deal with that seed. I apologize that both of you had to deal with that seed.
What are you talking about? That seed was fine.
You mean with the lack of fast, the high-level temper, and no power bonk?
That seed was fine. No, seriously, that seed wasn't horrible.
No, I believe you. That's why I'm laughing. You regularly do entrance shuffle and floor shuffle. I completely believe you're that big a masochist to have enjoyed that.
No, I legitimately don't see what the problem with the seed was. Like,
No.
yes, fast would have been nice, powerbomb would have been nice, but nothing really required it.
No, it would have been nice to have against Chaos and Tiamat. towards the end. That's when I was like, oh crap. But I don't know, what level did you go up to?
You were 25-ish, except on your white mage, who I think was 20 or 21.
21.
Okay, because I ended up going 20. I got to 23 on my fighter and my white mage, and I think everyone else was right around 21.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
You wipe a toe for it all or no?
Oh yeah, I wiped the first time, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, heck no. I got there at 21 with the fighter and white mage, and I had red mage and black mage. Black mage was utterly useless this season.
Yes and no?
I personally, I was thinking of re-rolling it, but if I could have gone back and done, knowing what I know now, I would have went 2 fighters because of the weapons.
That's fair.
2 fighters, red mage, white mage, and be done with it. But
yeah, I can see that.
it just would have made it a heck of a lot easier. Yeah, Vorpal still sucks. I don't care. Sorry, it stinks. Worst sword out there.
You find defense or no?
No, did you find? I found Massa, Excal, and Vorpal, but I never found defense. I didn't find Power Bomb. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, y'all didn't even find the white shirt, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't find it.
Like, I'm pretty sure all the buffing items had to have, like, been in Marsh Cave.
To be
Or, like-
fair... Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, or, like, on the 3 middle floors of the Sky Castle / Mirage Tower, because y'all both skipped the 2nd floor of Mirage and the first 2 floors of Sky.
That's fair. I might go back and check where they might be at some point.
Yeah, no, feel free to like, mention it in the Discord or something, because I'm really curious where all of those items were.
Same. What'd you wipe in toe for first time at, Joker?
Tiamat. Got all the way to Tiamat the first time, and then it was down to me and my fighter, and he won.
Did you end up seeing the Cure 4 off of Kraken 2?
No. Kraken 2 was not too bad to me. I think both times she was relatively easy. And I didn't see anything else nasty anywhere else. It was just smooth sailing until Tiamat 2. And the second time I went through, those extra levels kind of helped. Yeah, I was thinking at that time I should have power leveled when I went to get the tail, because I definitely was going to class change. I was like, okay, great, I got the tail. I'm not going to power level my guys. I got the cube because I thought it was in ordeals. I was going to power level my guys a little bit there, but turned out tail was with the robot.
Yeah, speaking of the tail, how did y'all feel about that waterfall?
What about...
Just the sleep blizzard mummies.
Yeah, those are kind of annoying.
Yeah, they stunk when I first went into Ice Cave, and that caused me to just, I think, wipe an Ice Cave. Wherever I saw them first, that caused me to wipe. And I was not happy. I'm like, crap. Oh well.
Yeah, the best part for me was the first ribbon y'all both found was the one behind, like, the waterfall.
Oh, the waterfall? Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
And I'm trying to think what else I really skipped. I skipped the entire volcano. Did you check anything in Volcano?
I checked a bunch of stuff. Nothing was super worth it to my recollection. I think there was a pro rig in there, maybe?
I think the Aegis was the only thing I noticed in Volcano that was like, oh, that's okay.
That was the other thing I was looking for, because I had dragon armor. I was going to do dragon armor, Aegis shield, and pro ring on my fighter, and then ribbons on the other 3, and I was like, thinking I was going to be gold.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's fair.
Poogle, you took a while to get over to Elfland, if I recall correctly. What was your reasoning on that front?
Routing.
Alright, it was just one of those things where you just didn't plan things to take you close to Elfland for a while?
It was just like, what do I really need in Elflands? Not much, so I'll just get there when I get there.
Yeah, I mean, I figured you probably would have wanted to go there just to see if you could find something better than the level 2 elemental spells in terms of damage magic.
I mean, we got Masa super early, so I wasn't too worried.
Fair.
So yeah, no, and what did you think as soon as... What was your route at the beginning? Because I went... got the crown, went to Astos, and then, since we had the bridge from the box... The bridge in a box! Hey!
Oh my gosh!
He does that every time. The fact he wasn't on commentary just meant that he was saving it for the end.
I actually went and checked doors first.
Okay, so you routed left and then you went Astos?
No. I went dwarves, then did Provoca, and then circled around clockwise.
Oh, okay. See, I went counterclockwise, and then as soon as I saw the cube with Binky, I'm like, Ice Cave is next. It's gonna be... I was crossing my fingers hoping it wasn't the ship. It couldn't have been the ship at that point. But I knew it was Floater in Ice Cave, because that was the only last progression item that we had to hit.
Yeah, that's fair.
And did you check all the free chest from Crown?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that we both... I'm just trying to think, we both did the same thing, basically the same thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
I went water, air, volcano, earth.
No, I went earth, volcano, water, air.
Okay, I went the masochist route then.
Not particularly, just...
But it was fun. Crap, I really want to know where everything else was now.
Well, I mean, Banesword was in the second floor of Mirage.
No!
Oh, did you check second floor Mirage? I must have
I'm
missed
literally,
that.
I'm checking it right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
I figured I would use this time to, like, check where stuff is now. Yeah, Banesword, second floor Mirage.
Oh, that annoys me, because I would have loved to have got the Bane Sword. You guys would have just seen me using Bane Sword on everything. Hey,
So
look, by the way, chat, give Ford a follow. Give him some love, give him support. He was here. Were you only by yourself, or was Nora joining you?
Nora was at least on... Nora and Kamabesh, I think, were helping out with some of the tracking. And I was doing some of the tracking, too. But, yeah, no, give Kamabesh a follow for lending a hand with the tracking. Give these two a follow for doing an amazing job running. And, yeah, I think I'm getting the signal to go ahead and start wrapping things up here. So, yeah, if you want to find out where everything else was, I'm sure these two are going to be bringing it up on the Discord. Because that was a very interesting set of things to not be able to find. So, you two have any final thoughts?
Always bracking the Kraken.
I'm sorry to my mermaid ladies. Next time I promise to check you.
Very good final thoughts. So, I appreciate those of you who've been here for the Woat show, starring Woat. And, yeah, we're going to kick it over to Randomania 2 for a little bit of Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Weekly. I think we're about an hour in. You know, I'm sure there have been a few people who finished up, unless this one was really trolly. But there's probably still a lot of action to go there. And if you want to come back tomorrow to Randomania, we've got a 10 p.m. Eastern race of Dragon Warrior Super Famicom, which is not random enough, but still pretty awesome. So, you know, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'm going to go rest myself because... Take care, y'all.